All right, let's go ahead and get this started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to part two of PTR and basically what's going on with Blizzard and what have you not. Let me go ahead and pull up some things. Basically, this week, if you haven't known, they did PTR seasons, the second season. And what seasons are, if you just don't know, is that Seasons is like the old school Diablo 2 ladder. Let's just keep it very straightforward and to the point. Everybody makes a new character, everybody levels up the character. At the end of the season, players are ranked upon how high they're able to climb in the Greater Rift. At the end of the season, all the items that the player has, equipment, gems, gear, Paragon levels, all of that stuff transfers over to your non-ladder account. If you're wondering what a non-ladder account is, it is currently the characters that you're playing on right now on live servers. So let's just go ahead and get into it. The first seasons was kind of hard to gauge how I went against other players because there's exploits and stuff like that. Unfortunately, in seasons 2, it was kind of hard to gauge myself versus everybody else. How do I say this properly? The Miser's Will quest is a quest that basically lets you go inside of an area or into a bounty in Act 5. I do believe there's 3 resplendent chests. The only condition you need is to open those chests. So unfortunately, people set it to T6. They do this quest. They can hit level 70 within 2 hours, and then they can proceed to keep doing Miser's Will to gain lots of Paragon levels and experience and what have you not. There also is a Greater Rift exploit where you basically can fight endless Rift Guardians, which means you're going to get a ton of blood shards and legendaries. Now, I heard that they did nerf the Greater Rift span. I am still believing that the Miser's Will is still inside the game. They haven't removed it. They said that they nerfed it, and they said they made their appropriate changes so people couldn't abuse it, but people are still abusing it. To give you an idea, I played a level 1 Witch Doctor to level 70, as you saw in a video I made a couple days ago. It took about, to get to 79 hours and 40 minutes. As you guys can see, let's go look at my profile here. I didn't use any misers, I didn't use any exploits, I just played the game as the way it was intended. 49 hours and 6 minutes in. Basically 50 hours. I got Paragon 129, so I probably would have been around 130, 131 if I would have stuck it out for the next 54 minutes. My highest Greater Rift I've completed is 20. Yeah, 20. Let's go ahead and go to Season 2. And let's go to Public Test. And 12 minutes and 50 seconds. I sit at currently rank 21. And I would like to keep playing on the PTR server to see how things go, but it's really hard because the whole point of seasonal is to see the progression of how long it takes players to get their gear when the game is played as intended. I don't think Miser's Will is going to make it to the actual live servers where people can hit level 70 within 2 hours, because that would just totally and completely undermine the whole thing of the ladder. Because basically, if that does happen, players, whoever just simply just grinds Miser's Will at T6, getting gold experience and pushing their Paragons up to a high level, will be basically the sole way to be competitive with everybody else. And I think we all can agree, for a community standpoint, about the PTR, we all don't want to be doing the same exact quest over and over again, bounty quest, leaving and exiting the game, seeing if the actual bounty spawns, going into it, doing the quest, leaving and doing it again. I don't think anybody is going to enjoy that, and that would make the game mind-numbingly boring. Greater Rift spam, anything involving where they can do rifts over and over again and getting legendaries and stuff like that, I'm not too worried about that, because I'm pretty confident Blizzard's going to nerf that, because if you don't nerf endless Greater Rift Guardians, what people were basically doing is that, I don't know the exact terms of the exploit, but I triggered it once and I didn't know what I did, but I was on tournament level, or I was on Greater Rift level 1, and I killed a boss, and then another one appeared, or it could have been on a higher level. And I killed it, and then the second time it died, that was it. I don't know how I did it, but I know there's a way people do it so that it just keeps continually producing a Greater Rift boss over and over and over and over and over again, which is a little bit frustrating. But I mean, it's in the game. I know Blizzard's going to fix that. The only thing I'm worried about is certain bounty quests and stuff like that, in all honesty, that reward a lot of experience and you can repeat over and over again. It's not good for the server because it puts lag on the server because everybody's exiting, leaving to get the certain quest and get certain things so they can go in, put it on T6, and any type of basically bounty that doesn't require you to kill any monsters. So you can pretty much just spam it over and over and over and over and over. And it really just hurts everything just in general because it really takes away from the whole point of the seasons. Let me see here. Okay, cool. So, with that in mind, it's hard to gauge seasons of how it's actually supposed to play out because there's so many exploits. Well, just mostly the Greater Rift span and also the Miser's Wills, and that is just kind of a little bit frustrating. But anyway, so now you guys know what's going on with the PTR and how people are able to get such high levels and stuff like that. As an example to show you somebody of what happens when you just basically exploit it over and over again, we'll go ahead and look at the #1 rank Witch Doctor. Rank 28, we'll go ahead and take a look at the seasonal character. 33 hours of game time, and they have a Paragon level of 408. So, as you guys know, there's no way, a legitimate way to get to Paragon level 408 within 33 hours, which is a little ludicrous. So, with that instantly in the Greater Rift span, you can see this Witch Doctor already acquired the major pieces of what what he needed to get up to the high level, in combination with having a very, very, very high Paragon level for 33 hours of game time. Now, if you look in reference to me, I use no exploits and played legitimately 50 hours at 129. So we won't be really able to gauge how seasons is going to go early level or how long it actually kind of takes for you to progress through everything. I kind of got numbers in my head of what things you should be looking at, what DPS you should be at, but the harsh reality is it's hard to compare my data when I'm when you're trying to compare legitimate data so you can actually make a metagame and make a big plan on how we should do things or what's the most efficient thing to do is, it doesn't happen because there's nobody else to cross-reference your data with their data that's playing legitimately. I mean, we can all just exploit and see what the fastest way to exploit is, but it's pointless because we all know it's not going to make it to live. But maybe Blizzard might do another season where they actually get it together, and I'll do another 50 hours just to see what's going on. So it was 3 days ago. Let me take a look. On 8/7/2014, which was on a Thursday, if I am correct. It could have been a Wednesday. I think it's Thursday. Let me check the official forums post to make sure I get my dates correct. 3 days ago. So on the 7th, they reset the PTR. So today is the 10th. So basically the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. I got about 50 hours in. So basically out of those 3 days, I was doing about 16 hours a day, which is nothing to be proud of, but I just want to make sure I got the whole emphasis of the early level of season. So I banged out those 50 hours since Thursday, because now I'm making this video on Sunday. Where am I going with this? Blizzard, to effectively test seasons, we have to have the exploits and everything out, and that helps us find other exploits and other things to level so we can balance it. The easiest way for Blizzard to deal with this is just make it so that Torment level cannot be affected until level 60. So until you hit level 60, Torment level difficulty does not unlock, and until you get level 70, Adventure mode doesn't unlock. Or you can make Adventure mode open up at 60, but I don't know. That's the quick, easy fix. That would fix a lot of stuff, and then also maybe dealing with the Miser's Quest or making it cool down for when people log back out and go back in. I don't know. I know a lot of people say that the leveling experience isn't a major aspect of the game, but leveling a new character is pretty important. It encourages a lot of new people to learn the game, learn how to play the character, and things to go the right way. So hopefully Blizzard does something like that. I was thinking just simply Torment level does not lock till 60, because most of the Torment level legendary items don't start dropping till 60, and then also at level 70 maybe make Adventure mode come open. It makes people play it through the story mode, and I know people don't like playing through the story mode, but that's just like the safest way to go against the exploits and stuff like that, and then put some kind of cooldown on logging out and coming back in. And then they could do something like, maybe making Kane set drop more often, or making it so that there is an increased experience. Like, I'm all for decreasing the experience it takes to get to 1 to 70, but in reality, I think it should take anybody in between 8 to 10 hours of gameplay, which is not a lot to ask, to get to level 70. I don't think 8 to 10 hours of gameplay is a lot just to get to 70. But we'll have to wait and see what Blizzard's going to do about that. So that's the whole leveling scene and what's going on with that. Currently, people are having level 70 within 2 hours with the Miser's exploit, and then they're just continue doing it over and over until they get to a high, to a really high Paragon level. All right, let's talk about the gyms next. The gyms haven't changed. I know that the Smite one does really good damage, but it doesn't proc as much and doesn't do little damage. It actually just procs fairly often, and it does big damage. I've hit it up to 18 million, so that's pretty solid. The Bane of the Powerful, I know this one still might be, out of the system. Some of them they disabled. Like, I know they disabled Carnival, some other stuff, so we'll have to come back to this later. Wreath of Lightning is pretty good. Bane of the Trap, enemies under impairing effects take more damage. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's really good for the Jade set. I haven't figured anything for the Invigorating Gemstone, where if you're under control of parrying effects, you take less damage. Take good, because I've seen some Witch Doctors use that in Jade build, believe it or not, because you spam hot and that stacks up. That upgraded will be a pretty solid one. And also I've seen some Witch Doctors use Ice still in Adventures, because as far as the way you cast your haunt and stuff like that, and gets increased damage. Gem of Infectious Toxin, I still haven't seen like the real to shine of this. I've seen the extra little damage it does and the potential of it, but it's really not that great in my opinion. Moratorium, which has a stagger damage, is phenomenal. Pain Enhancer is phenomenal because it scales with physical damage, and also Simplicity Strength because it increases damage with primary skills. So right off the bat, Simplicity Strength is really strong. Of course, the Pet Gem is really strong, and of course, I also have the Swiftness one too. Swiftness is the one that increases your attack speed per hit. So, for a Witch Doctor, if anybody would have to say to start off with, the Pet Gem is very powerful, and you don't want to simply just shove all these gems into all these sockets without actually making an intelligent decision about what you're rolling on your rings, because then it will come back to harm you. The stat 2 drop on rings and amulets would be attack speed, because if you run the Swiftness and you're using a primary attack, Swiftness gives your attack speed up to 3% for 4 seconds. It stacks up 10 times for a total of 30% increased attack speed. So if you have a 30% increased attack speed and you can keep it up on a regular basis, then you don't need to have the attack speed on your rings, which allows you to basically roll rings that have average damage, critical percent chance, critical damage in a socket. This one I will hopefully like to get soon to critical percent chance, critical damage, and in a socket. That's what I'm going for, because the attack speed will come from the Swiftness actually amulet. Just how this necklace is, that's something I want. Int, critical percent chance, critical damage, socket. That's what you want, because as long as you're running Swiftness, you're gonna get the attack speed anyway. I'm trying to re-roll the critical damage to actually a socket. That's pretty decent for a Ring of Royal Grandeur. But then again, depending on what you're doing, you don't have to get all 3 gems right away. But then again, it is pretty powerful. So when I get this gem stack, item available or open, while farming, I probably will run another proc effect, but in greater rifts, when I get to higher levels, I'll probably just run the moratorium for the stagger damage. So I'll have the moratorium, the pet gem, and also the one that increases my attack speed, and that will work out pretty well. I got some fairly decent items. The biggest thing I can tell you is that the best thing to do when you're going up through seasons is not depend on any items that drop by set or anything like that. Just go for the guaranteed craftable items, or go for items that realistically you can get right away. You can get a solid ring and an amulet because the jeweler lets you craft them. That's not too hard. Ring of Royal Grandeur, I don't think it's too hard as long as you just grind Act 1 over and over one to get one. It wasn't too bad for me. I got it within, about 24 hours. I got the Ring of Royal because I was just basically spamming Act 1 bounties. So my biggest plan was just to go for the 2-piece Blackthorn, 2-piece Ogdals. Well, what you should go for is 3-piece Ogdals, 3-piece Cane. That's like the easiest to go straight off the bat for, because both of them are craftable. That's what you should be saving all your early supplies for, because those things you can control. You can control what you craft. Can't control what randomly drops. You can kind of control the cash specific legendaries because it's just a matter of time until eventually you get it. So my game plan on this one was to go after getting the early items, which were the 3-piece Autos and 3-piece Cane, and building into something. I got a nice awesome two-handed weapon because they buffed that significantly, and I got it rolled up nicely to 3900 DPS. This is a very strong weapon. It actually has more DPS than what I'm actually using. But pick a build and stick to it. Everybody should go for 2-piece Cane and 3-piece Ogdals. Maybe not 2-piece Cane if you're leaning more towards a dot build or you're trying to rush a Jade build. That I can understand, but the attack speed will still be useful early on. And stick to it. On the next seasonal run, I think I will just go for the generic, Fetish Sycophant generating build, where basically you just go your Pierce the Veil, Midnight Feast, Reign of, you go Fetish Sycophant, you use Reign of Toads, Paranauto, the cookie cutter build for Witch Doctors. The next time I play through, I'm going directly for that build. I'm going for my 3-piece Ogdos, 3-piece Cane. Gonna farm Act 1 until hopefully I get a Ring of Royal Grandeur so I can drop down the chest and drop off probably the gloves for the gloves or the shoes for the Cane's piece, because ultimately I'm finding that in the beginning you get that 2-piece Canes, you get the 2-piece Og Hills, and you get your ring, you're set. And then you freeze up options where you can maybe use a Cinder Coat on the chest to get extra fire damage if you want to roll fire early on. But even then, I think what I'm going to do is just go for a physical build early on, because I can craft the Ogdos to get that physical. Doombringer dropped like 4 for me. I don't know if they buffed Doombringer, but if they did buff the Doombringer drop rate, that's actually going to be pretty solid because it combos in with physical for all your pets. So the basic goal is just to get those early craftables, get your Ring of Royal Grandeur, and that allows you to use 3 different sets at 2 pieces each and get the 3-piece bonuses for all of them, which will be very strong. And at that point, you'll just be pretty much limited to by what drops for you in the game. First things you should be gambling for is Grim Reaper, or you should be gambling, well, not gambling for Grim Reaper. You probably will get Grim Reaper or Zunimasa Helmet or Andarios before you get a Jerome or Quetzalcoatl. Now, if you get a Quetzalcoatl, you can make a very strong early game anyway. You can just basically put all your damage into Haunt and Locust Swarm, and you can actually get to a fairly good Paragon like Rift level, or at least an early Greater Rift like around 22. If you get Quetzalcoatl or Jerome, that is your ultimate goal, to get one of those helmets first. Now, if any other helmets drop, then you just kind of use what you got to use until you get going. And as long as you're just grinding consistently and doing your Greater Rifts, the items will start dropping. As you saw, I was able to get a 3-piece Zuni piece set, and I got 4 pieces of the Jade. All I'm missing is a chest or something like that. And if I were to gamble for the chest, I'm pretty sure I can get a Jade build going, even without the Quetzalcoatl helmet. But overall, I did pretty good. In my opinion, I think. I'm at 939k damage. I'm at 51% crit, 351% critical damage. Zunimasa Vision. I wish I could have got crit on that. And then also I use there's a new item it's a consumable that makes it so that you get a free socket. I use it on two-handed weapon. I really should have saved it for the Doombringer because this could have been 2400. So that's something I learned. If you get the item, I forgot what it's called. It allows you to get a free socket on your weapon. Don't use it until you get like a really good one-hander. Save it or you'll regret it. And overall, I mean, I was pretty happy about the results. I got my 3-piece Zuni. I got good attack speed. I got my swiftness. I got my pet gem. All that stuff works out really well. But a lot of people were also saying like, oh well, the toughness of your pet sucks and all your pets die, and I really didn't find that to be a problem because with the Zunimasa ones and the fetishes generated with enough attack speed, you keep producing them. That's not the problem. I found bigger problems and greater risks basically running into low mob density and stuff like that. You know, and even if they did nerf the pet gem and made it from critical percent chance to critical damage and now they can't be invulnerable, it's actually not a problem anymore because you're only ranking against other witch doctors. So, at least from my standpoint of view is this. What I want you to gather from 2.1 is this, or how seasons are going for the second season. Witch doctors are fine. You want to either go for a Locust Swarm Haunt build or the early Fetish Sycophants generating build. Commit to one or the other. Don't commit to both. Unless the game just happens to just drop you so many Jade items early on or drops you really good stuff. Commit to one or the other. Get your cane set and Ogtils crafted and go for the Ring of Royal Grandeur. And then after that, you can kind of guide yourself what you want to do. If you get the item that makes it so you can put a free socket in your weapon, save that for a really good weapon. Also, just focus on if you need money, do bounties. If you want to get legendaries and you do greater rifts, you just basically I found myself bouncing back in between both of them. You're going to need a lot of money. I wouldn't upgrade gems early because your major goal is to get your Ring of Royal Grandeur with the socket, and you want to craft the ring that has a socket with critical percent chance and critical damage, and then you also